Hi, this is John Pettigrew, and you're listening to Talking Through My Hat, a podcast that explores bookish businesses, the fantastic people who create them, and what those people have learned. I'm a hat wearer, a recovering editor, and the creator of Futureproofs, enabling editors and authors to work better online. To find out more, visit wearefutureproofs.com or follow me on Twitter at John_Pettigrew. Welcome back to Talking Through My Hat. Today I'm talking with Justo Hidalgo, CEO and co-founder of 24 Symbols. It's a subscription service for ebooks. He's also an author, a university professor teaching product strategy and innovation, and I just discovered he's also a radio host. So thanks for talking to me today, Justo.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, John.
Yeah. So 24 Symbols has been around for over 8 years now, which is quite an achievement. How have you distinguished yourselves from kind of all the other ebook subscription services that have come and gone in that time? What's kind of the unique 24 Symbols thing?
Well, if I really knew, I would probably sell the idea. But no, I mean, the idea is still the same. You know, it's a subscription service for ebooks, as you said, and other kinds of cultural and entertainment assets like comic books and audiobooks. Mm-hmm. I believe that the reason we are still here is that since the start, it was very clear for us that this was a long race, that it was going to take time, and that we needed partners to work with. So very early in the stage, as soon as we could, we started talking to partners, especially in the customer acquisition stage, just to continue having the amount of people that wanted to read and that we were unable to reach just because of our size.
Okay. So which sort of partners were you kind of linking up with there?
Oh, but mainly right now is mobile carriers. We started having relationships with them in 2013, I think. Okay. These are typically long-term relationships, both in terms of getting the relationship to work. You know very well how it's to work with big companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course they need some time to work. So now we're, for example, in Latin America, in a few countries, also in Germany, and we are also working with having some others. In some of the cases, some regions didn't work. We tried, it didn't work. In other cases, the unit economics don't work. You know, in some countries, for example, where the price of the ebooks is too high, but they are very used to very low cost services. So, that's fine. We'd love to work there, but that's very difficult. And also, we're also starting to diversify, to try to find other areas where books are necessary. For example, transportation companies, hospitality companies, anywhere where someone can spend some time reading, we are trying to be there.
Okay, it's the hard thing about business. It's not building a product. It's finding someone to use it. And I think this strategy of working with people who have lots of customers who they need to find interesting things for, like mobile phone companies and, as you say, trains and hotels and stuff. I think that's a really interesting way of doing that.
Yes, I mean, what we do is very straightforward. I mean, we want, as someone from my team always said, we want to feed people books. You know, people want to eat this we offer. But the difficulty is that being a generic service, a horizontal service, you need to provide a very good value proposition. And of course, we have 24symbols.com, like the B2C service that allows you to read whatever you want. But then, of course, you have to look for other ways to reach the people that might not know that they want to read. And this sounds like very, commercial or product-ish, but it's the truth. What we found it with mobile carriers, we're finding it with in other verticals, that people find is, they find out that, instead of playing Angry Birds, they can read some books sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that's that thing, isn't it? We say, that books are now in competition with all forms of entertainment, but, they always were. And so there's something there that people have always liked, so it's going to be really great. So it's fantastic to find that you're finding this place for yourselves, this way of reaching customers and stuff through these partnerships. Why did you first create 24 Symbols? What was the big idea that thought, we're going to do this mad, insane thing and build an ebook business?
Well, I think there are many reasons. I mean, first, personally, I always wanted to build a company. Okay. So I come from a family where my parents always ran small businesses, and I kind of grew up seeing the difficulties, the challenges, the hard work.
A realistic view of what it might be like.
Yep. But at the same time, how my parents built something let's say from scratch, providing value to the community. They started with a drugstore, and they started building driving schools, one and then two and then three, and before they retired. So it's for me, it's this part of my memories where I had to take chairs from my house to the driving school, because suddenly there are lots of people in the theory classes. And then the opposite, when there's some competition coming up and there's some struggles there in the family. But always, kind of looked at my parents, see how hard they work. And it's like, this is cool, no? But then I started, I did my computer science degree. I started working for companies, always small companies, but always like with a salary. And always had like kind of, this is good. But, I want to try to replicate what my parents did in a new way, of course, because, I had other abilities.
You need to
parents
work on your own skill set and strengths.
Exactly. My parents were a great salesman and things like that. I'm different, but I knew about computer science. So and that's one kind of my first reason. Then more specifically, 24 Symbols, technology, in all the companies I worked for, technology was basically an end. So I spent many years working in a tech product company, doing data integration stuff, which has been really valuable for me afterwards in 24 Symbols. And I really enjoyed it. I got my PhD there, all that stuff. But I had the need to build something that people could use as a final result. Basically, what we were building there was a tool to build solutions. And I wanted to build that solution. And then I would say that the third reason is that, thinking about that and related to what I just said, this idea of the Spotify for books at that time merged everything I really wanted. It merged technology, of course, because at that time creating a cloud reader, a subscription service with all the cloud DRM was technologically quite challenging. And at the same time, it was books. It was basically giving people books to read, which is something I've enjoyed all of my life. So, these three things plus working with my colleagues at that time, my partners, that I had worked with them in the past. One of them was a previous student of mine. With other, I had been like 15 years working together, made a lot of sense. So it was kind of the final push just to say, this makes sense. Then, of course, from a business perspective, it looked like people were talking, and that because you were at that time very deep, talking about, subscription services in publishing. There were many doubts, but there was also many good opportunities. And we decided to give it a go.
So how did you form that initial kind of team, the co-founding team, the people who had hopefully the same kind of vision and passion that you did? How did you build that group?
Yeah, I think that typically most of the decisions you make by creating a company, and you know that very well, John, is pure serendipity or random. But some of the decisions you make are quite thought out. And in this case, I think we kind of gave it a good thought. It was basically the four of us, four initial partners, came from the same company, that B2B tech company I mentioned. So we typically had, coffee or had lunch together and talk about books. Most of the times it were business books, but some of the times it was narrative. And we kind of shared this love for books. So at the beginning, we kind of were thinking of a moonlighting project of bringing American books, business books, out to Spain and getting the rights and translating them and basically becoming a publisher.
Yeah.
I think it's good for the publishing company that we didn't do it. It would have been we would have been a horrible publisher, I believe. But that kind of started to say maybe we should do something about this. And this idea came in early 2010 about the Spotify for books, and then I remember very well the presentation of Steve Jobs with the iPad, the first iPad. And that was the moment where it was like, wow, this is the future.
Okay.
I mean, that was our bet. And then is when we start thinking, okay, this ask for, that does it make sense? It kind of makes sense. I mean, we have salespeople. All of us were technical people, but one of us had very high experience in sales, another in marketing. The CTO had very deep down experience with the technology. I had experience with the product, and also I had lived in the United States for a while doing product management and marketing. So kind of had most of what we needed. And of course, we missed the publishing side. So that's why one of our first we tried to find, and we found one of our first investors to be part of the industry in Spain.
Yeah. Your co-founding group, as you say, you're all technical people, so you presumably all together writing the product, but then sharing out all those other roles as needed, kind of thing.
Yeah, so the building the product, like coding, it was my CTO, our CTO, Angel. Then I worked mostly in the product and the data architecture, and then one or the other worked on the product design. But the four of us were able to give insights about, we could have very detailed discussions about, I don't know, I remember one discussion about the cache, the book cache, how the information was going to be kept secure, whatever, So we were able to do that. But then each of us had very specific roles, which changed completely as things. For example, I was going to be focusing a lot on product, but, since we launched in the London Book Fair in 2011, it was clear that because of my English, because of, the things I could do that my other partners couldn't do, I was going to be more like PR.
The public face kind of thing. The English-speaking world.
Exactly. And that's very funny because out in Spain, it was very clear that one of my partners was the CEO at that time. Everyone knew my partner, but nobody knew me. But outside in the English-speaking world, it was the total opposite. It was like, so you are not the CEO? I was, no, but that doesn't matter, I'm here, so talk to me.
Very much. So you kind of mentioned that you started off with the little group of you were kind of a book group effectively, and one of the things you did was talk about business books. Is that how you've gone about learning to run a business yourself? Do you go to books? Is it kind of websites and stuff these days? Anything particular that you found useful? Or are you more of a kind of throw it up in the air, try it and see what happens sort of a person?
You learn from everywhere you can. I mean, I have a very small anecdote about that, how, and then we can go talk about books. But we got accepted by Seed Camp, which is a London-based accelerator that was in 2012. So one of the incredible things about Seed Camp is that I think it was a Monday. I said something to them. I said, since we're Spotify for books, I would like to meet someone from Spotify. It would be great. So 2 days they got me a VP, a vice president of Spotify, talking to him.
Oh, that's good.
And the meeting was 5 minutes. 5 minutes. He was like, we're 24/7, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah? So he just put the hand on my shoulder and said, quit.
Great
well,
advice.
Sorry. Maybe my Spanish my English is, I speak too fast. Let me explain that again. Whereas 24 symbols. Yeah. You're like Spotify, but for ebooks, quit. Sorry, I'm missing something. It's like, okay. So you want to build like Spotify for books, right? And what's your background? Technical, this and that. Yeah. Okay. So, it's great, but just only take into account one thing. If you are successful, you are not going to be a tech company. You're not going to be a content company. You're going to be a law firm. So basically, Spotify is the best law firm in London, in Europe. Okay, so and that's going to be your role. You're having a huge understanding of the law, huge understanding of the relationship with publishers, and that's going to be 24/7. So you want to go for it? That's it. And for me, those 5 minutes were huge in understanding where I was getting into. We're not a law firm at all. But it's true that for many years, that's basically what I've done. I basically learned to negotiate contracts with publishers, with other types of people. So these things is what I learned from. But also, of course, I don't know. I'm more like a product guy. So books like the classics, Crossing the Chasm, or the Innovator's Dilemma, or Made to Stick. But there are also some very recent ones that are really good, like Sean Ellis' Hacking Growth, or Asmauria's Scaling Lean, which I don't know how it's going in sales, but I think it's even much better than his previous one, Running Lean. And then from a business perspective, there's a really good one called The Founder's Dilemma. From Noam Wasserman is really good for founders. I really recommend it.
Yeah, I found that really helpful at the beginning, just to get your head around some of the things that are coming your way.
Exactly, and what it means to be together in a company, with your partners. And of course, for example, Brad Fell's Venture Deals is absolutely key in terms of negotiating the deals with the VCs or business angels. And maybe a lesser known one is called New Venture Creation by Jeffrey Timmons.
Okay.
He's from a course at Stanford University. It's a huge book. It's really huge, and it's 1,000 pages.
Oh, wow.
But full of good information for someone who started a business. So basically, my part of the business plan was written with this book open, because it has so many good information.
So, I mean, as we think about, business and product and stuff, and when you think about, you look back on 8 years and the ways you've grown and changed and stuff, when you think about the next 8 years or, 80 years or whatever it is, how do you think about that and where you want to be? And so how do you plot that kind of?
Yes. Ooh, that's a very difficult question. Well, I have no idea. It's, most of the time we're trying to continue. I wouldn't say survive exactly, but to continue to thrive and to continue giving the best product. But it's true that when you see where the industry is going, where the entertainment is going, and even where the data for me is, and because of my background, I think a lot about how this is going to evolve in terms of what kind of entertainment is going to be provided.
Yeah.
I believe that a service like 24 Symbols makes sense in the following 5 to 8 years or whatever. I think a subscription service, the area of consumption instead of ownership, is there. People are consuming more Netflix, more HBO, more Spotify, more Amazon Prime. So we're getting used to that. It's part of our life. I think in terms of ownership, we're always going to own things, and it's because it's integral part of who we are as a species. Yeah. So everyone, all of us are still going to have books. I still have a full room of books, but they're going to be the books that are important to us, and it's going to be the same with music, with everything.
I think this is interesting. You often hear book people talk about how it's really important that people buy books and own books and stuff, and this terrible, terrible modern thing of subscription is awful. When I was growing up, most of the books I read, I got from the library. They weren't my books. I took them for a week, I read them, and I gave them back. And if I wanted to read it again, I had to go back, find the book, and bring it in. And then you'd find favourite books or favourite authors, and then you would buy those and want to own them for the long term. And it is, I think we get a little bit too obsessed with ownership. Borrowing subscription stuff has always been a really good low barrier way to discover stuff.
Absolutely. Of course I have to agree. But again, of course. But I don't think this is a fight between, print books or having books or, there's some books that we're going to want to have because it's part of our life. And actually we might actually buy a better edition because we want to have it there, but because it has story. Yeah. And there's some others like, I read it, that's fine. I have some notes, that's fine. You 24 Symbols or whoever, you keep that. Yeah. Just in case. But that's how I say it. Thinking more ahead is how people or why people read, I think is the question to try to solve.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a fascinating one. So when you look at the business, when you look at 24 Symbols, what is it that you find hardest about being a CEO, about running the business, being a founder, whatever? Some things obviously come naturally. And for you, I guess, from the sound of it, product is your focus and that's what you like. But which are the bits you kind of shy away from, but still have to do?
But still have to do, yes. This is totally personal. I mean, as Justo, I don't like to negotiate, and I know that's a horrible thing to say as a CEO. Yeah. But I decided many years ago that I was going to be honest on this. I have to do it, and of course, if you have to be hard on a negotiation, you have to be hard. Yeah. But man, it's just there's a lot of people that enjoy negotiating. It's like part of this, and it's like, no, we have to negotiate. It's like, no, let's get a deal fast. That's it, Yeah. And I have my own issues with that, and of course you have to learn. And I've been successful in some negotiations, but that's for me that's the hard thing. That's the hard thing.
That's really interesting. And when we were talking earlier, actually, before we started the show itself, of this thing of running a business and being a parent. I mean, I'm in the same kind of shoes as you with kids. And I love that you were sharing a quick story about looking after your daughter while you're having to do a presentation.
Oh yeah, yes. The thing is that my wife and I, we both have companies.
Yeah.
So we are both have entrepreneurs. She's more in the health side, and I'm more in the book side.
Yeah.
And we have a daughter. It's a almost 4-year-old daughter. And well, we have to kind of keep a balance of how we take care of that, because for us, taking care of Olivia is a priority, and this is clear. So it has its good things. I can take her to school every single morning, no problem. But there's moments where it's impossible to manage all that. And so this year, this academic year, there's been two situations where I had to be a talk to, in both cases, like 150, 200 people. And I couldn't find someone to take care of Olivia. So I said that to the organizers. And in both cases, they said, just come with her.
Yeah.
Like, are you sure? It's like, well, let's try it. So, there were some people taking care of her, playing with her while I was giving my talk. But in both of them, she just wanted to be with me. So she would be up with me in the final minutes or whatever. But in the first one, she came to me while I was giving the talk. Actually, the talk was being in English. So I had kind of my brain was totally busy with my internal translation of everything I wanted to say, and she just came to me as like, Daddy, you want to come here? Well, yes, but I want to go pee. It's like, I'm gonna finish. Can you go with this other person? No, I want to go with you. So I had to ask the audience, can you wait for 5 minutes? And then the audience started to clap, and but I was totally embarrassed, because for me, this is serious. So it's like, I'm giving a talk.
It's your lives, two halves of your life blending.
But the audience saw it as, this is life. This is life as well, and people are starting to understand that these things happen. And I went running with her. We did what she had to do, and then we came back, and people were clapping again, and I was finished, and everything went well. But and they invited me to give a talk again. So I guess.
Oh well, that went very well then. Excellent.
That went well, but yes, this is what you have to do when you have a startup and a family, and you want to continue engaging and committing to your family.
So, as you look back over the last 8 years or so of running this business, creating it, building it, what have you learned about yourself from doing that? Do you still think of yourself as the same person, or are you, have you learned more about who you are, or have you changed?
Yes, I think everyone in 8 years changes a lot and learns a lot about, regardless of what you do.
Yeah.
But it's true that running your business means having to make a lot of decisions, having to do things that you didn't expect that you would do, and even enjoying it throughout the process. As I said, I never thought that I could negotiate the things I've been able to negotiate. I came from a professional career that was meant. Basically, my career was kind of meant to be kind of an expert in a very specific area. I did my PhD, data integration, so I was meant to be that.
More and more specialist kind of thing.
Very specialist. And so even when I decided to be part of this, even my previous boss, who is someone I truly respect for everything he's done, he was like, are you sure, you could be a big data expert and things like that? What it's like, I don't know if I would be able to do that, but I want to try this, and that it taught me a lot about having to manage many things at the same time and all that stuff. So and then one thing I learned is for as any company, we had our ups and downs. And I remember in 2012 we had a very, very strong down, and I never thought I would be able to have this. Well, now this word is resilience, right? Is able to continue. We were like 15 months without having payments at all, having salary. And we are not rich. We don't come from rich families, like that. So we had to do many different things because we believed in that. And for 15 months, it was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. And of course, sometimes you think I'm 38 at that time, or 36, 37. And I looked at my account, and it was like, what am I doing? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But it's, I like this. I think this makes sense to me, and you continue doing it.
So what is it that then brings you back every day in the face of those difficulties? It gets very real sometimes, doesn't it?
Yes.
What brings you back?
I think is this in this case, for at least for 24 Symbols, is this vision. As I said before, I wanted to build something that could be used by people. And I know this sounds very typical, but in my case, at least, it's true. Of course, we have our bugs, we have our complaints, but also we have lots of people saying, hey, I'm enjoying, I read every day with you, with your books. Yeah. And this is amazing. This is just amazing that you are building a service where hundreds of thousands of people are being able to read. And that's what in 2012 and other years is like, okay, one more. There's a challenge there. I remember I had the chance to talk to Asma Uria, the author of Running Lean and Scaling Lean. Yeah. And we're talking, and he kind of agreed with me at that time that we still need to learn more about entrepreneurship, like in judo or in martial arts. When you do martial arts, kind of you learn. This is something you are taught. Yeah. When to quit. This guy is beating me. Okay, so let's quit. That's it. In entrepreneurship, you don't know that. You have no idea. There's no one who can tell you. And in our case, in 2010 and other years, we're kind of lucky. But we could have not been lucky, and we would have been in trouble. Yeah. And so that's I think in terms of knowing or learning more about what it means to build a company or a startup, we still need to learn more about when to quit. When is the right moment to say that's it?
We gave it our best shot.
That's it. Next.
Yeah. Well, that seems a very topical note on which to say thanks very much, Justo, for that fascinating conversation, and it's been great to hear from you again.
It's great to always talk to you, John, so thanks so much.
Thanks again to Justo for that fantastic interview. I'm always energized when I talk to him because he's got this real passion for just making books available to people. And it's really great. It's been great over years now to follow 24 Symbols and the way that they have persisted and survived. There have been so many companies that have been touted as the Spotify for books, and they're still here, they're still doing really well and just getting books in front of people. And the fact that, this consumption model of streaming books, of borrowing books, of just having books for a while is nothing new. As I said in the interview, we've borrowed books from libraries for hundreds of years, decades. And this is just the new iteration of that model. So it's great to see people pushing that forward and developing it. So thanks very much to Justo. Next week, we're going to be talking to Emma Donnan, who is a ghostwriter. If you've ever wondered what ghostwriters do, how they go about things, how they fit into the world of publishing, tune in next week and hear what Emma has to say. Until then, thank you very much. This was Talking Through My Hat, a podcast by John Pettigrew, founder of We Are Future Proofs. Please let me know your thoughts by leaving a review at Apple Podcasts or by commenting on the website, myhat.wearefutureproofs.com. You can subscribe to this channel at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our theme music is from hooksounds.com.